My name is Paul Ginty. I work for Surrey Fire and Rescue Service. I'm an assistant group commander, and that is in the business fire safety team. My involvement with AFSA started some 3 years ago. There was a Engaging with Diverse Businesses seminar in Merseyside, and that was co-hosted with AFSA and Merseyside Fire and Rescue Service. And that's where I first met Jagtar. And Jagtar is a very charismatic, was a very charismatic MC for the day. And I've been involved in the communities that we have in Surrey as my role, which was then as a borough commander. And I'd attended a number of events that had been put on by the Asian community in Surrey. So I was quite vocal when we were challenged about, what were our fire and rescue services doing to promote diversity and inclusion. And throughout the day, I was very impressed with the sincerity of AFSA, the warmth of welcome, but actually the messages that were being put out on that day were extremely relevant and made me reflect actually on whether I was doing enough really to support inclusion and to try and explain my role to communities whose culture may not be British in its makeup. So very much now in the UK, I would describe we're a community of communities. But the one thing that unites us all is our humanity. And through that day, I fully understood that if I say, you have to do X, Y, and Z, someone might listen to what I've said and think they understand it, but their translation results in a different outcome because they've understood it, but to them, the words I've used mean something completely different. And that was really powerful. So Jagtar's challenge was to say, what can you do to improve diversity and inclusion within Surrey? So I just took it on myself to keep up that network with AFSA. And I wrote a business case to Surrey to say, look, I think we should consider corporate membership so that we have that access to that network. And really since then, my relationship with AFSA has developed. I sit on the executive panel now, and I bring to bear my contacts within the Institution of Fire Engineers. So there's another professional network that we can work collaboratively together to develop firefighters from a black and minority ethnic background, but also hopefully we can start to build trust and real relationships with the communities that we've got in Surrey. That's my drive, because I want to be approachable, and I want someone who has a problem, which is fire related, to be able to come to me and say, look, this doesn't seem right, can you help? And I think if you can build that relationship of trust and mutual respect, then we end up having a safer community, which is, that's why we're all here. So the Institution of Fire Engineers is another professional body, which came into being some 100 years ago, and it was formed from a number of chief fire officers coming together to try and professionalise or bring in CPD, continuous professional development opportunities for firefighters. And so that movement has continued, and it puts on a series of events and lectures, presentations, that goes into more detail about specific topics relating to firefighting, whether that be high-rise buildings, whether it be fire safety and compartmentation, or even as some events that I've done in Surrey which relate to hazardous materials. So we try and bring the latest in thinking in the fire service and make that accessible to members of the Institution of Fire Engineers. So it's a professional body, and there's examinations that individuals can sit to increase their knowledge and understanding of the profession that they're in. Yeah, so the journey for me was that I sit also on the executive board of the South Eastern branch of the IFE, and I explained the role of this, or the opportunity to attend this conference, and so that I've brought some exec members up to this conference today, and they're talking about the IFE and raising awareness of that, but actually there's cross-fertilisation of ideas, that the colleagues that I've brought up have gone away fully enthused and engaged with issues on diversity and inclusion. So it's been a tremendous experience seeing their optimism of what they would hope to get, and it'd be transformed because they've got far more from the last 2 days than they'd ever envisaged. And that's wonderful. That's been my experience of AFSA. And it's been nice to get that same feedback from somebody that had no experience of it. I think AFSA is the only organisation that I'm aware of, and that's probably the caveat, that actually practices what it preaches. It is completely inclusive. And that's filtered from JAGTAR to all the members on the exec board to the people that you bump into at conferences like today. That there is a spirit of not wearing uniform, and therefore in the face of AFSA we're all equal. So you can talk to firefighters and have that interaction, and through that you learn things that you probably wouldn't have got if you had the barrier of whether that be a cultural dress or whether it be an institutional uniform. That changes the way that people talk to you. So AFSA have been very open, very welcoming and very inclusive, and I think everyone you talk to at conference today will give you the same message. I think I would have to say transformational, and the reason why is it empowers individuals to make a difference.